There's a yellow slip flapping under my windshield wiper like a passive-aggressive flag of surrender. At first, I think it's a parking ticket, which makes no sense. I'm in my own driveway. But when I pull it off and read the bold all-caps letters at the top, I feel the kind of hot, surreal frustration that only HOA notices can deliver. Warning, your driveway length may be in violation of community aesthetic standards. I blink, then blink again. Too long? I mutter. The handwriting on the bottom is neat and unmistakably feminine. It reads, "We'll discuss further at next HOA review. Dana, VP." I'm Nathan, 35, recently divorced, recently relocated from Austin to a quieter patch of suburbia in North Texas, about an hour outside Dallas. My new house is modest but solid. It's got a red brick face, a backyard big enough for my dog, and evidently a driveway long enough to trigger a neighborhood meltdown. Oh, and before I forget, if you like true petty revenge stories, weird suburban drama, or just watching a grown man accidentally start a culinary revolution, hit subscribe and drop a comment. This one's going to be fun. The driveway in question stretches from the street to a detached garage at the back of the property, an unusually long slab of poured concrete, about 80 feet, with a slight bend halfway through. It was part of why I bought the place. Plenty of space for guests. Basketball, maybe even a future carport. But apparently my practical dream slab is a visual nuisance to someone on the HOA board. I step back and look at it. It's just a driveway. Clean, no oil stains, nothing parked on it except my own truck. No crime has been committed here, except maybe against Dana's sensibilities. I text my sister back in Austin a photo of the slip with the caption, "Apparently my driveway is offensive now." She replies instantly, "Dana sounds like a Sagittarius." Inside, I find the HOA welcome packet I mostly ignored when I moved in 3 months ago. Thick, laminated, spiral-bound like a cursed wedding planner. I flip through the first few pages, looking for anything about driveway length. There's nothing specific, just vague language about harmonizing with the neighborhood's intended appearance, whatever that means. I get the sense they like to leave things vague so they can interpret them however they want, kind of like horoscopes, but meaner. The next HOA meeting is on Thursday. I mark my calendar. Thursday night rolls around, and I show up to the community clubhouse in a button-down shirt and jeans, trying to look like someone who doesn't want to fight, but also doesn't plan to roll over. There are about 15 people seated around a folding table rectangle, sipping iced tea and pretending this is a democracy. Dana sits at the head, flanked by Dale, president, bald, frowns like it's a hobby. And Linda, secretary, constantly typing, probably chronicling my downfall as we speak. Dana is maybe in her early 50s, hair in an aggressively blonde bob, white linen blouse starched within an inch of its life. She smiles when she sees me, tight and fake, like a toddler pretending to like steamed broccoli. "Nathan," she says, "thanks for joining us. We were just about to get to the open concerns." She flips a page in her binder and reads aloud. Concern number 7, 2414 Rosewood Lane. Unusual and excessive driveway length may detract from community aesthetic harmony. Suggested solutions include landscaping borders or visual obstruction installations. I almost laugh. Visual obstruction installations? What is that? A bush wall? A tasteful bond clear my throat. Just to clarify, my driveway is the original poured concrete from when the house was built. There's no addition, no extension. It was like this when I bought the place. It's not violating any zoning or building codes. Dale grunts. We're not talking about legality. We're talking about visual cohesion. Dana nods solemnly, like she's just explained the concept of justice to a toddler. Exactly. It's not a legal issue. It's a neighborhood standards issue. We're asking for cooperation, not confrontation. She says it like I'm the one who started this. I raise an eyebrow. What would you like me to do? Tear it out? Paint it beige? A couple of people chuckle. Dana doesn't. There are ways to mitigate visual dominance, she says, flipping to a page marked with a pink sticky tab. For example, installing flower beds along the edges, or a privacy hedge. You want me to plant a privacy hedge along my driveway? I ask. To soften the lines, she says, and reduce the prominence. Prominence. That word sticks with me. As I leave the meeting, I can't stop turning it over in my mind. My driveway is too prominent. It's not doing anything. It's just existing too hard, being too visible. Apparently, that's a crime in suburbia now. The next morning, I vent about it on Reddit. I post a picture of the yellow slip in the driveway and title it, HOA says my driveway is too long. Should I rent it to food trucks? It's a joke. Mostly. I write a sarcastic paragraph about how maybe I'll host a taco truck on Tuesdays and call it Tortilla Alley. I throw in a Photoshop of a hypothetical coffee cart halfway up the drive. I even joke about charging HOA members for lemonade refills. Then I log off and go about my day. By dinner, the post has blown up. Over 7,000 upvotes. Comments flooding in. One guy says, "Do it, I'll bring my brisket trailer." Another offers to DJ for tips. A third says he'd drive in from 2 towns over for a decent falafel. And somewhere, deep in the comments, a woman posts, "I'm a food truck owner in the area. I would be interested if this is real." I stare at that comment, then at my driveway, then back at the comment. I don't know what's more absurd, that the HOA thinks they can control how my driveway looks, or that I might actually be able to turn this into something. My thumb hovers over the reply button for a second, and then I type, "Let's talk." Because if they think my driveway is too prominent now, they have no idea what's coming. By Saturday, I've had 6 food truck owners message me through Reddit, 3 more slide into my Instagram DMs after someone shared my profile, and one guy, Frank, owner of a grilled cheese truck called Meltzilla, just shows up at my house like he's delivering destiny on wheels. His truck is a glossy black monster with yellow flame decals and a chalkboard menu that reads, "You bring the curb, we bring the crunch." I stand there on my too prominent driveway, still barefoot, brushing my teeth with a travel mug in hand, and stare at him like a man whose joke just sprouted wheels. "Is this the spot?" Frank grins, throwing both thumbs toward the garage. "You got the length, buddy. I checked Google Maps." "You did a driveway reconnaissance on Google Earth?" Bet your HOA didn't see that coming. We end up talking for almost an hour. Frank tells me he used to park outside breweries and office parks, but permits and crowd limits killed his business after the pandemic. Now, with more people working remotely and fewer centralized hubs, food trucks are looking for new places to post up, especially in neighborhoods where the nearest decent taco is 20 minutes away and requires a U-turn across 4 lanes of traffic. "We're trying to bring food where people actually live," he says. Suburbs just don't know it yet. That's when I realize the HOA tried to frame my driveway as a problem, but maybe it's a solution. Later that night, I'm back on the HOA website. Not to argue this time, but to research. Their rules are strict, ridiculously so. You need a permit to repaint your door. Wind chimes are limited to no more than 2 per home. But nowhere in the 68-page packet is there anything that explicitly prohibits commercial parking on a privately owned driveway. There's a clause about nuisance activity, but it's loosely defined and subjective, just like Dana's issue with my driveway in the first place. So I draft a new post, this time to the neighborhood's Facebook group, a public one where people mostly post lost pets and found wallet announcements. I write, "Hi neighbors. Some of you may know me as the guy with the long driveway. LOL. I've been chatting with a few local food vendors, and we're thinking of piloting a weekly pop-up right here at my place. 100% optional to attend, of course. Just some good eats on wheels. First one's this Friday, 5 to 8 p.m., Meltzilla. Grilled cheese and tomato soup will be our guest. We'll have music, chairs, and compostable napkins. Come hungry." The comments explode. Yes! This is exactly what we need. I've heard of Meltzilla. They used to park outside that brewery. Power walking there in Crocs. Is this even allowed? Dana, there she is. I resist the urge to reply with a gif of a grilled cheese being dunked into tomato soup. Instead, I keep it polite. Totally understand the concern. Everything will be within my property, cleanup included. No amplified sound after 8 p.m. Feel free to swing by and check it out. Friday arrives faster than expected. I spend the whole morning cleaning the driveway like it's the red carpet. I even borrow my neighbor Julio's leaf blower and clear every stray pine needle like I'm preparing for the Queen of England. At 4:45 p.m., Meltzilla rolls in with a hiss of brakes and a soundtrack of 90s hip-hop. Frank parks at the bend in the driveway, plugs in his generator, and within minutes, the smell of sizzling cheddar hits the air like a dinner bell. By 5:10, my front yard looks like Coachella for suburban parents. Kids race up on scooters, lawn chairs pop open like magic. Two golden retrievers circle each other like they're planning a heist. Someone brings a Bluetooth speaker and starts playing a chill indie backyard playlist that sounds suspiciously like a 2010 Urban Outfitters. Frank's line grows fast. By 6 p.m., we're out of chairs and he's out of Gouda. Dana shows up precisely at 6:17, holding her HOA clipboard like a badge. She stands at the edge of the driveway, lips pursed, scanning the crowd like she's looking for fire hazards or someone illegally enjoying themselves. I walk over. Evening. She cuts to the chase. This is not in the spirit of community regulation. I'm not violating anything. There are noise considerations. It's just background music. Traffic. Parking. Everyone walked. It's 3 blocks. She glares at me like she's trying to laser a hole through my forehead. This is not a permanent solution, Nathan. I smile. Wasn't meant to be. Just dinner. A neighbor offers her a grilled cheese. She declines with a shudder. Later that night, when the crowd thins and Frank packs up, we sit in my garage with paper plates on our laps and half-melted root beers in hand. That went better than I expected, I say. He nods. People don't want HOA rules. They want rituals. That sticks with me. He's right. Everyone's looking for a little connection in a sea of Amazon packages and driveway etiquette. We spend so much time pretending not to notice our neighbors. This gave us permission to show up and be human. The next morning, I wake up to find someone's chalked "grilled cheese forever" in giant bubble letters at the base of my driveway. Emma, the 10-year-old from across the street, proudly claims responsibility. Her mom brings over a tray of muffins as thanks for organizing something fun for once. I'm mid-muffin when the email comes through. From the HOA board. Subject line: unapproved commercial activity, notice of violation. They've fined me $200 and demanded I cease and desist any future food-based events on personal property. And just like that, the toast is butter side down. But I'm not panicked, because now I know 2 things. 1, the community is behind me. 2, the rules, they're not as firm as Dana thinks. They wanted to make an example out of me, but they forgot one thing. If you pick a fight with the guy who has the longest driveway in the neighborhood, he's going to have more room to push back. I stare at the fine notice for a full minute before it registers that I'm chewing muffin like I'm stress testing carbs for NASA. $200 for hosting grilled cheese on my own property with community support after giving out compostable napkins. I text Frank a photo of the violation. He replies, $200? Man, next time I'll toss in a free pickle and legal defense fund. I laugh, but it doesn't hit quite right, because this is where the real game begins. The HOA doesn't care that the neighbors loved it, or that we ended before 8 p.m., or that little Emma across the street asked if Meltzilla could come back for her birthday. They care that I made a visible choice, one that challenged their invisible hierarchy. They want me to fold. But here's the thing. I've been through a divorce, a move, a pandemic. A fine isn't going to scare me. So I do what any millennial with too much time and not enough self-preservation instinct would do. I double down, and I rebrand. Introducing Driveway Fridays. I design a simple black and orange flyer with blocky text that reads, "Skip the fast food lines, good eats, great neighbors, zero parking lot panic." I post it online, I stick it on our community corkboard near the pool, I send it to the same Facebook group with an updated schedule, and I don't stop at Meltzilla. Next up is Faux Real, a Vietnamese street food truck with rice bowls that'll make you forget you ever paid $16 for a sad salad. Then Churro Cartel, run by a mother-daughter duo with cinnamon sugar in their DNA. After that, Bun Intended, Korean barbecue sliders. Each Friday, something new. Each Friday, a bigger crowd. By week 4, people bring picnic blankets, fold-out tables, teens show up on electric bikes, someone starts a makeshift recycling station out of painted buckets. A jazz trio from the high school band sets up and plays soft covers of Bruno Mars songs. It's not just a driveway anymore. It's a ritual. And that's when I start hearing the whispers. At the mailbox, on dog walks, at the school drop-off line. Did you hear? There's a taco truck coming next Friday. He's got backup now, like legal backup. Honestly, it's the most I've talked to my neighbors in 5 years. I don't even need to do PR. The HOA is doing it for me, one angry email at a time. Every fine they send, 3 now, each escalating by $100, I challenge. I reply to their notices with polite questions. Could you clarify which part of the handbook this violates? Is this clause legally enforceable on privately owned property outside common areas? Have other homeowners been cited for similar aesthetic disruptions? They go quiet for a while. Then Dana switches tactics. Monday morning, I'm sipping coffee on my porch when a landscaping truck pulls up next door. The workers unload a massive hedge delivery, boxwoods nearly 4 feet tall, 20 in total. Dana appears in her driveway, supervising like a general with a garden budget. One by one, they plant them in a perfect green wall between our two properties, cutting off the side view of my driveway from her house. The message is clear. If she can't shut it down, she'll hide it. I wave. She doesn't wave back. I text a photo of the hedge wall to my sister. She replies, she's got HOA Stockholm Syndrome. Offer her a churro. But it's more than a petty move, it's tactical, because now she can start claiming I'm creating nuisance activity that affects adjacent property owners' enjoyment of their lots. It's the HOA's favorite loophole. No matter how clean, how quiet, or how kind the event is, if a single neighbor says it disturbs them, the board can act. I know it's coming, so I prepare. I collect testimonials from neighbors, handwritten, dated, some with smiley stickers from their kids. I print out the event flyers, receipts from the trucks, even a copy of my property deed, highlighting where the driveway ends and public access begins. Then I do something that would have made my pre-divorce self groan with secondhand embarrassment. I schedule a meeting with a zoning lawyer. His name is Theo. Mid-40s? Balding? Looks like someone who would own multiple fountain pens, but the man knows easements like a chef knows knives. He reads through my documents, then taps the property map with his pen. You're golden. This is a private residential lot with no shared drive, no commercial zone conflict, and full access from a public road. As long as the trucks aren't blocking sidewalks or spilling into the street, the HOA doesn't have a legal leg to stand on. I blink. So I can keep going? More than that, he smirks. You could charge them for trying to stop you. I don't want a lawsuit. I don't want war. I just want grilled cheese and peace. Week 5 rolls around, and the truck is Las Fritas Locas, loaded fry bowls with toppings so wild they should come with a waiver. My friend Marcus, a graphic designer, makes a menu board with emojis and flavor heat scales. It's absurd and glorious. People come early, even more people than last time. And as the sun sets over the hedge wall Dana installed to block me out, I notice something shocking. She's standing at the edge of her lawn, watching, empty-handed. No clipboard, no phone, just watching. Frank leans over and whispers, "Think she's gonna cave?" I smile. Not yet, but she's hungry. I can feel it. He grins. Should have made her a secret menu item. Karen-style fries. Extra salty. By the end of the night, I get 3 more food trucks asking to be part of the rotation. One guy offers to install a temporary hand-washing station and bring string lights for ambiance. And even though my HOA violations are now totaling $600, I sleep easy. Because I'm not breaking rules. I'm breaking the illusion that those rules are untouchable. And here's the deeper truth. Something I didn't realize until Driveway Fridays became a thing. This isn't about food. It's about space. Space to gather, to experiment, to reclaim something we didn't know we were missing. So when I get an official notice summoning me to an HOA disciplinary hearing, I don't panic. I print my flyers, I stack my testimonies, and I call Theo, because I've got neighbors, vendors, and half the internet behind me now. And if the HOA wants a fight over what counts as acceptable use of concrete, then they better come hungry. It's 6:02 p.m. on Friday when the call comes in. I'm standing under a string of Edison bulbs we hung across the driveway, part of a DIY vibe upgrade courtesy of Marcus, our unofficial creative director, when my phone buzzes. Unknown number. Dallas area code, I answer, already suspicious. Mr. Nathan Reynolds? The voice says. Speaking. This is Jeff Conrad from the HOA Compliance Subcommittee. I'm calling to inform you that the board will be convening an emergency session next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. to discuss your ongoing violations. I smirk. Violations, plural? There's a long pause. You've received 4 documented citations, including unauthorized commercial activity, noise disturbances, increased traffic flow, and failure to respond to official remediation orders. I've responded to every one. I reply, with documentation and legal review. Another pause. Then, you may present any defense you wish at the hearing. You'll receive formal notice via certified mail. Can I bring tacos as evidence? Click. Call ended. I look around my driveway. It's week 6 of Driveway Fridays, and the whole block is here. Again, someone's strung up paper lanterns between the garage and a patio umbrella. A kid I don't recognize is drawing a giant rainbow in chalk with a look of intense artistic concentration. There's a small folding table labeled Neighborhood Suggestions with index cards and colored pens. And tonight's feature, Mac Attack, a mac and cheese truck that lets you build your bowl like it's a pizza. Pick your pasta, cheese, toppings, heat level. Emma, yes, same Emma who chalked grilled cheese forever weeks ago, has already declared her loyalty to level 4 jalapeno spirals and is daring other kids to survive them. Meanwhile, Frank's turned into the de facto logistics coordinator. He's directing parking like an air traffic controller and somehow knows everyone's name. He leans in and whispers, "You're officially the mayor now." Mayor of what? Driveway Nation. I laugh. Sounds like a terrible podcast. He grins. Sounds like a movement. Later that night, after cleanup, I sit on my porch with Theo, the zoning lawyer. He stayed for the event this time, brought his wife, and even let his kids get ice cream. Now he's sipping a ginger beer and flipping through a printout of HOA bylaws like he's studying for a final exam. They're going to lean hard on the nuisance clause, he says, tapping the margin with his pen. Claim you're disrupting the community. That's their best angle. But the neighbors love it. Most of them. I glance across the street. Dana's house is dark, but the hedge wall she built is still standing tall, like a leafy monument to denial. Theo continues, "Here's what we hit them with. First, your deeded property rights. Second, the lack of specific prohibitive language around driveway use. Third, testimonial support from other residents." I nod. "And if they vote to ban it anyway," he shrugs, "they can vote to change policy, but enforcement, that's murkier, especially if the vote's close. So we make it not close." The next few days, I get organized. I type up a flyer titled, "Why Driveway Fridays Matter, a gathering, not a disturbance." I list the benefits: community bonding, local business support, improved neighbor interactions. I quote the feedback I've received, include photos of chalk art, lawn chairs, smiling kids. I print 30 copies and walk them door to door. I knock. I introduce myself. I say, "You don't have to agree, but if this has brought you even one moment of connection, I'd love your vote." Most people are on board, some enthusiastically, some reluctantly, and a few with "I'd rather not get involved" energy. But I keep a tally. By Wednesday, I have 21 verbal yeses. Well, yeses. The neighborhood has 37 homes. I only need 19 to block any HOA ruling that requires a 2/3 majority. But I want more than that. I want a message. The emergency meeting is held at the community clubhouse. Plastic chairs, metal folding table. Dana at the head, flanked by Dale and Linda again. Dana's wearing a blue blouse buttoned so tight it looks like a dare. Her mouth is a thin line of disapproval even before I sit down. The room fills quickly. Frank's here. Theo's here. Emma's mom is here. Even Marcus in his graphic tee that says problematic icon. Dana opens the meeting with a monotone welcome, then reads the list of citations like she's auditioning for a courtroom drama. "Mr. Reynolds," she says finally, "would you like to make a statement?" I stand, look around, then take a deep breath. "This isn't about mac and cheese," I say. "It's about community." A few people nod. This started because I got cited for having a driveway that's too long, something that was here long before I was. And instead of fighting that with more bureaucracy, I turned it into a chance for connection. I gesture toward the back. There are families here who hadn't spoken to each other in years before this, kids who made friends, local businesses that got a chance to survive, and every Friday night, for a few hours, we stopped pretending our neighbors were just scenery. There's silence. Then Emma, bless her, raises her hand and says, "And the food is really good." Laughter breaks the tension. I close my folder. "I respect this community, I respect its rules, but I won't apologize for bringing people together on my own property in a way that's brought us all joy." Dana adjusts her glasses. We'll now open the floor for comments. A man I barely know stands up. "I never used to go outside. My wife passed last year. Friday nights gave me a reason to come out again." A woman with a baby on her hip adds, This is the only time my husband isn't glued to his phone. Frank, ever the showman, says, I just sell cheese, but I've seen more kindness on that driveway than in any HOA newsletter. They open the vote. Dana tries to frame it. This is a yes or no on whether commercial food service should be permitted on private driveways within the HOA. Votes are cast. They count in front of us. It's not close. 26-11. Driveway Fridays stay. Afterward, as people filter out and Dana gathers her papers like she's cleaning up after a failed revolution, she glances at me and says, You know this won't last forever. Nothing good does, I reply. But while it's here, we're going to enjoy every bite. Outside, Emma runs up with her chalk. Can I draw on your driveway again? You can do the whole menu if you want, I say. She grins. I'm going to draw macaroni with sunglasses. Perfect. We walk back home, past the hedge wall, past the plastic signs and clipped lawns, and back to the concrete slab that started it all. Because sometimes the thing they call a problem, it's just the beginning of a better way to live. The morning after the vote, I open my front door to find something new at the edge of my property. A staked yard sign, clearly printed overnight. It's HOA official, laminated, and planted like a silent protest just beyond the hedge Dana had installed. Notice this property is under ongoing HOA review for community compatibility. It's the suburban equivalent of putting me on a watch list. I blink at it, sip my coffee, and laugh out loud. Then I wheel it out of the ground and stick it inside my garage like a souvenir from the losing side of a petty war. Maybe I'll hang it above the grill station. Later that day, I get a letter from the board. Not a fine, not a cease and desist, but something different. It's titled Request for Policy Review. The gist is this. The HOA board wants to revisit the language in the community bylaws to explicitly prohibit commercial use of private driveways. They can't retroactively ban what I've done, but if they pass this amendment, they can block future events. It's a strategic retreat. They couldn't beat Driveway Fridays in the moment, so now they're laying the groundwork to choke it off next season. Dana's not done, but neither am I. I call Theo. This isn't just about me anymore, I tell him. I agree. He agrees. They're trying to close the door behind you. So what are my options? You could challenge the amendment, stir public opinion. Better yet, propose a counter-amendment. He pauses, then adds, or you could go bigger. Bigger? You already proved there's demand. You have support. What if you didn't need the HOA's permission anymore? I sit down. You're saying, make it official. Why not, he says. Apply for a temporary use permit through the county. You can designate part of your property for pop-up vendors. It bypasses the HOA completely. My jaw hangs open a bit. Theo chuckles. That long driveway of yours just became commercial real estate. It takes 3 weeks to pull it off. I file for a limited use business permit. Technically, I'm listing it as a private event space with rotating licensed vendors. Frank helps me with the logistical diagrams. Marcus redesigns the flyers and makes an Instagram page called @DrivewayFridaysTX. Emma's mom offers to handle permits with the food truck so they're covered for health codes. We're not just a block party anymore. We're an institution. And with that, Driveway Fridays shifts into a whole new gear. We add a second night, Test Kitchen Tuesdays, where new vendors can trial dishes. Smaller crowd, no marketing, just experimental plates and feedback cards. We invite a local bakery to host a bread and board night, charcuterie under string lights. A local teen starts offering driveway yoga classes on Saturdays and my neighbor Julio installs portable solar lanterns along the flower beds for extra lighting. I don't just meet neighbors. I know them now. I know whose kid just started speech therapy, who's dealing with a tough job loss, whose daughter got into UT. We've built a community without a committee. And slowly, the narrative shifts. The same people who once viewed me as the rebel start viewing me as the glue. Even Dale, the HOA president who used to frown like it paid well, shows up one evening with his wife and orders 3 brisket bowls from Barbecue Banditos. I almost faint. Don't read too much into it, he says gruffly. My wife saw the post on Nextdoor. But when he sits down under the pop-up shade tent and smiles for the first time in recorded history, I know something's cracked. Even Dana's silence feels like a concession. She hasn't attended, but she hasn't sent another letter either. Maybe she's realized this is bigger than her clipboard. Maybe she's tired. Or maybe, just maybe, she's waiting for me to mess it up. But I don't. I stay meticulous. I keep trash picked up, noise down, vendors rotated, hours respected. I use a portion of every truck's proceeds to hire teens from the neighborhood to help with setup and cleanup. We create a rotating schedule and stick to it. We even hold a brief community conversation circle once a month to hear feedback. I haven't just complied, I've outperformed. And when the new draft amendment goes up for vote, one that would ban all future events like mine, it loses again. This time, 30-7. One of the last Fridays before fall sets in, Frank pulls up with Meltzilla 2.0, his upgraded truck with solar panels and neon trim. He hands me a grilled cheese with truffle butter and whispers, "This one's on the house for the mayor." I take a bite. It's perfect. Crunchy. Gooey. Warm. A couple walks by with their new baby and waves. Two teens are playing cornhole near the edge of the drive. Emma's drawn a full chalk mural that reads, "Welcome to Driveway Fridays, where neighbors eat like friends." I lean back in my lawn chair, sipping a root beer, and look around at the space I used to think was just concrete. It's not a driveway anymore. It's a canvas. That's when I get the message. A DM late at night, anonymous account, just says, "I was wrong. About all of it. Your driveway isn't too long. It's exactly the length this neighborhood needed. D. No emoji. No signature. But I know exactly who sent it." I don't respond. I just screenshot it, save it in a folder called Small Victories, and smile. Because the truth is, this never was about pavement. It was about presence, about standing firm, about leaning into community instead of hiding behind rules, about what happens when someone tries to shame you into silence and you answer with a grilled cheese truck and a lawn chair. And maybe next week I'll add a dessert cart. Because while the HOA keeps measuring driveways in feet, I'm over here measuring mine in funnel cakes. I never meant to become the face of suburban resistance. Honestly, I just wanted to park in peace. If you'd told me a year ago that my biggest argument in life would be over a stretch of poured concrete, I'd have laughed, pointed at my calendar, and told you I didn't have time for that kind of drama. But now, as I sit on a low camping stool, sketching a crude layout for the first ever Driveway Fridays Fall Festival, I realize something weird. I'm kind of proud of all this. The fights, the chalk, the fries, even the hedge wall. Because out of something small and annoying, one neighbor's complaint about a too long driveway, came a new way of living here. Not just surviving behind our doors, but gathering between them. Fall hits Texas like a toddler with a crayon. Messy, abrupt, kind of charming. The evenings cool just enough that people start showing up in flannel shirts and sipping hot cider like we live in Vermont. The mosquitoes retreat, the leaves begin to brown at the edges, and I know this is our moment. Frank and I decide to go big. The fall festival will be one part food truck roundup, one part block party, and one part tribute to what this neighborhood accidentally became, a place where people actually like living near each other. We get 4 trucks, Meltzilla, of course, a pumpkin-themed dessert truck called Gourd to Go, a wood-fired pizza truck, and one new addition, a taco vendor that also serves cinnamon sugar roasted pecans. Emma is put in charge of mural design, and she appoints 2 lieutenants from her friend group. They immediately request glitter chalk and glitter markers. I comply. Resistance is futile. Marcus makes posters. Theo offers to pay for biodegradable cutlery. Even Dale donates folding chairs from the HOA's secret storage room, a white flag in the form of plastic seating. The week leading up to the event, something unexpected happens. People start volunteering. Not just let me know if you need help volunteering, but showing up with a toolbox kind of volunteering. One neighbor strings lights between their porch and mine. Another brings over a bubble machine for the kids. A teenager builds a cornhole set from scratch, paints Driveway Fridays Fall Fest in bold letters across it, and drops it off like it's a housewarming gift. Even Dana gets involved, sort of. The Monday before the festival, I come home to find a tray of pumpkin muffins on my porch. No note, no signature. Just muffins. Perfectly spaced, a little too symmetrical, like they were laid out by someone who organizes her sock drawer by color and date of purchase. I take one bite and no. Dana. No one else would have the restraint to skip chocolate chips. I don't bring them up at the event, but I do set them out on the community table with a sign that says, "Maple pumpkin muffins from a secret admirer with clipboard energy." The day of the fall festival arrives, and it's perfect. The sun glows soft behind scattered clouds. The breeze carries the scent of wood smoke and cinnamon. The food trucks pull in like royalty, each one greeted with cheers from children and dogs and adults holding collapsible chairs. Over 150 people show up. The chalk art stretches all the way to the curb. Kids run in circles with glow sticks. There's a cider stand. There's a playlist. Someone starts an impromptu line dance in the driveway, and I have no choice but to join in, even though my rhythm can only be described as dad at a barbecue with 2 sprained ankles. Frank corners me halfway through and says, "This is officially bigger than your driveway." "I know," I reply. "That's the point. We don't just survive the evening, we flourish." When the trucks finally pack up and the last of the folding chairs are stacked near the garage, I take a slow lap around the block. There's something surreal about walking your own street and hearing laughter echo from behind fences, seeing porch lights still on, smelling food in the air long after the event's over. This is the kind of community I didn't think existed anymore. And the wild part, it started with a complaint. Weeks later, things have quieted. The food trucks are on their winter rotation, driveway Fridays are paused until spring, and I finally reseal the concrete like I meant to last year. But the impact lingers. People wave now. They stop to chat. They leave half-used Halloween decorations in my garage because they assume I'll need them next year. And Dana? She hasn't said a word to me since the festival. Until one morning in late November, I'm out front blowing leaves when she walks over, holding a clipboard. I freeze, expecting another fight, but instead she hands it to me with a small, measured nod. It's a petition, titled "Proposal to Establish Driveway Fridays as a Seasonal Neighborhood Tradition." 28 signatures, already signed by Dale, already reviewed by the board. She stands there, arms crossed, waiting for me to say something. I take the pen, sign my name, and before she turns away, I say, "Thanks for the muffins." Her lips twitch. They were regulation compliant. She walks off. So yeah, my name's Nathan Reynolds. I'm 38. I live in a cookie-cutter neighborhood where the grass height is policed harder than most local crimes. And I spent the better part of a year fighting my HOA over a driveway. But you know what? It was never about the pavement. It was about reclaiming space, physical and emotional, from systems designed to keep us apart in the name of order. It was about showing up, about laughing out loud in a place where people usually just nod and disappear behind garage doors. And if you liked this story, or if you've got your own HOA horror tale turned victory, drop a comment, maybe even subscribe, because next spring, Driveway Fridays are coming back. With food, friendship, and one new addition I never saw coming, Dana just volunteered to run the bake sale table. So yeah, anything's possible.